Welcome to Fishing Without Bait, a podcast about lifetime without definitive expectations. We're looking for individuals who are looking to create themselves rather than find themselves, to look at life and reality from another perspective, and view life as an epic adventure. There is no admittance fee required, only the honesty, open-mindedness, and the willingness to try. Join our conversation and get acquainted with an eclectic roster of guests. Expect the unexpected and get an assist into exploding into your life with full impact mindfulness. Greetings, I'm Jim Ellermeyer, and today I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, co host, and producer of this program, Mr. Mike. Mr. Mike, welcome aboard.
Glad to be here, Jim.
As we often know, Mike, what we talk about on this show is not just beautiful words, although we've exchanged many beautiful words between us. It's putting the action and effort behind those words to make something happen in your life. There are numerous times in my life that I've known and yours that we've spent many times discussing what our plans are, our hopes, our aspirations, and those are wonderful things. But, Mike, there comes a time in a person's life when either we continue talking or we spend some of that time doing something about it.
It's an old country song that I grew up listening to. A lot less talk and a little more
A
action.
lot less talk and a little more action. So that happens. And what we talk about those as being defining moments in life or what we would call catalytic moments. When you think of a catalyst, Mike, what do you think of?
A turning point in your life.
A turning point in your life, correct. Okay, or it's like a chemical reaction needs a catalyst, doesn't it? Something to make something happen. So a match to a fuse is a catalyst for making something happen, usually a bang, all right? So these catalytic moments, defining moments, whatever you want to call them, come occasionally or frequently. And the position we help people put themselves in is to be able to recognize it. Okay. So I'm sure that there's been some defining moments that have passed by you, some catalytic moments. But could you share, let's just say recently, let's talk about some catalytic defining moments that you've actually participated in and taken advantage of?
For me, there's a lot of opportunities in business of working with new clients, when working with new people in new spaces.
So that's can be a defining moment. That can be a catalytic moment, sure. So defining moments, catalytic moments are usually when we're put into a place to make a decision. We're put into a place to make some type of a decision. Okay. And they don't have to be the earth shaking types. However, when we recognize them, am I in a position to make a decision? We often talk about changing the vocabulary and the way people speak to themselves. When we stop, step back, and look at this, am I in a position to make a decision? So these other moments can also be defined as when something elemental, something organic, something fundamental that changes your life. Okay. So we're looking for moments, and we can usually define them as being transformative events that change our outlook and behavior. And sometimes these events, we can look at them and think, oh my gosh, this was a tragic event. This was a sad event. Let's say, like the death of a loved one, a passing of a loved one, or a pet, or getting married, having a child, different things like that. So, one thing that you and I often talk about, Mike, is the importance of being able to label and identify how we think and feel and label situations. So, there's an old thought out there that define it or it will define you. Define it, define the moment, or it will define you. Okay. And another one we want to acknowledge is our old friend, something that you and I often discuss. The most fundamental of all emotions is
Fear.
correct. So when we acknowledge that fear, acknowledge that we're afraid of moving ahead, we have to identify the obstacles that are preventing us from accomplishing that moment, being in that defining moment, that catalytic moment. So Most people, Mike, and I'm sure that you've participated in this and as have I, when somebody presents an opportunity or a possibility, maybe opens a door for you or two or three doors, how often do we tell that person or think in our own mind the reasons that we can't do that, the reason that we can't accomplish that? So, what we help people do is that's setting definitive expectations. You're setting yourself up for failure. So, what we try to do is have people look at that from the other end of the horse, as we often talk about, and say, well, how can I get this done? What do I have? How can I accomplish this particular opportunity, this event that has been placed in front of me? So, you've had many situations placed in front of you in your life. So, tell us about your mindset and getting involved in that.
Whenever I have a situation put in front of me like that, I try to kind of step back a moment and yeah, again, look around it, right? Look at the positive out of it as much as I can.
Well, sure. So what we do is that what's positive about this rather than what's negative. Okay, we want to reverse the lenses in our glasses. Now, as for loyal listeners of this podcast, and I hope you all are, we often talk about time, do we not? Okay, so there's different definitions of time. Different languages have different words that they apply to time, and the ancient Greeks had two words for time. One was chronos, okay? So when we think of chronography, we think of that type of time. That type of time is structured time. We can call that clock time, okay? And clock time only moves forward. It only moves in one direction. There was a Greek god by the name of Chronos also, who was at times depicted as a rather shorter, stout individual with wings on his feet who could move very fastly. However, one of the characteristics of Kronos the god was that when he got in front of you, that you could never catch him. So isn't that a lot like time? We're always trying to catch time. We're always trying to create time. We're always moving so quickly, but time always seems to be ahead of us. That's one of the things that most we help people understand and stop, step back, and look at and find out what's really important in their life. So, Chronos time is more of quantity type of time. And we often talk about how lack of time creates anxiety or our perception of our lack of time. However, what I'd really like to talk about tonight is Kairos time, Kairos. And it's a concept in Greek about circumstances that open moments of opportunity. Kairos is about capturing the moment. Carpe diem, okay? It's about using advantage, it's quality time to be in that moment, to explore, like the concept of fishing without bait, especially full impact mindfulness, is to explode into every moment. So my question for everyone out there today, and the challenge for today is, are you living in Chronos time or are you living in Kairos time? So how about you, Mike? How about you? Quite often we find ourselves in Chronos time.
You get kind of caught up in it, in the flow of things.
Let's say when you're stuck in traffic
Hmm.
in a rush hour, okay? Or you're waiting on hold on the telephone, okay? We can wait on hold for a while, okay? We're waiting in line to get into an event, all right? That can be Chronos time. You're waiting for somebody that's late. They said they were going to be there at 3, it's now 3:25, okay? So, what's your feelings then?
A little bit of anxiety over it, a little of a waste of time, but also, it's sometimes an opportunity to do other things.
Right. So we can take our mindset and get out of Chronos time where we're frustrated and we keep counting the minutes that that person's late and you just can't wait to tell them you're 27 minutes late. That time can't be recaptured. Chronos is already ahead of us. We're not going to catch him. So can we look at that time? You're going to live that time anyway, are you not? You're going to live that time from 3 p.m. till 3:27 p.m. So the idea is you have a choice. One of our favorite words also. You have a choice as to, am I living Chronos time or do I want to live Kairos time? What can I do with these moments? These are moments of opportunity. So how are we going to do that? We get back into defining these moments. Take the assessment. Create an action plan. How often do you create action plans, Mike?
Every time I have a proposal for a client.
Every time you have a proposal for a client. Do you ever make an action plan when you walk into a grocery store? Do you ever make an action plan before you make a phone call, before you send an email?
Yes. See, I need bananas. I need to go to produce first. Okay, they put the water over on this end of the grocery store. We go through, and there's that mushy middle where I don't know which is the paper products and which is the pharmaceuticals. So I don't know which one goes which, but we'll figure that out when we get there.
Were you an auctioneer in a previous life?
No.
I think you've missed your calling.
That's just how fast it runs in my
head. So what we were talking about is the action plans, however, avoiding setting definitive results. Okay, we set an intention on an action plan. However, in Kairos time, we look for moments of opportunity. We look for those cataclysmic opportunities. Okay, maybe perhaps it's as we perceive as simply as smiling at someone or saying hello, maybe picking a piece of trash up. We may find a quarter on the street also. That could be a cataclysmic event. So there's so many events in our life that we pass by because we're living in Chronos time. Chronos time. So our challenge for everyone out there today is, are you living in Chronos time or are you living in Kairos time? And that's a choice that you can make. If you'd like to learn more about this, please listen to some of our previous podcasts. And for our friends in the Twitterverse, we'd certainly like to offer the opportunity, if you have a defining moment in your life, to let us know, to contact us. Let us know about the show. Perhaps we can share some of the defining moments in your life and perhaps how you got out of that Chronos mindset and into a Kairos mindset. And until then, we offer a free prescription after every podcast: fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Unplug your television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we ask that you fish without bait. Do a kindness for yourself, do a kindness for another. Forgive yourself, forgive another. Till all are free, none are free. Namaste.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.